Hi everyone, my name is Luciana. I'm an architect and urban designer, and today I'd like to share with you my poster presentation for Moving Boundaries Nordic X 2024, where I'll be talking about reconnecting people to the essence of life through a human environment approach. And I'll start talking about how we connect profoundly with each person to develop a setting aligned with the present state of development. Then, how can we understand the most favorable environment to be developed? Thinking about what could mean too much stimulation and what it would be too little stimulation. I'm also bringing up extra features in case you want to experience practices that can help you triggering these connections. They will be in different videos, so make sure to look for them after you've seen this one. So how can we connect profoundly with each person? The most important part is to make sure you're listening with all your senses, not just the ears. And how do we do that? Try not to rationalize too much about the processes you're going through. Be at ease with yourself, breathe, be present, and most importantly, be willing to learn from this person you're talking to. This person is a life you've never seen before, and you have the opportunity right here and right now to walk into this light. Even if it's a close relative or a dear friend, do not take them for granted. They carry a world of wonders we are yet to experience. In informal interviews, ask them about various topics. Listen to their routines, expectations, perceptions, values. Take them out of the automatic response. If they say, in the morning I do my breakfast, don't leave it at that. Dive into this breakfast. Ask them to detail this environment they rely on. What exactly do they eat? Do they cook something? What items do they use? What would be an amazing breakfast? Do they eat alone or on the table, on the couch? Do they watch TV or listen to music? Use their smartphones while preparing the breakfast or eating it. This way, you can create a whole and detailed scenario in your mind, almost like a film in your thoughts, and you can experience it when you feel necessity to go back to this person's perceptions, like a memory. This helps us realize the flow around this person's need. What's the relationship between this person and the environment they are on? What might be missing or disturbing their daily routine? And for the forms, make them with various questions like practical, subjective, meaningful, dreaming topics. This is the moment we relish the unthinkable, the irrational, the intuitions. Make them comfortable to think or talk about likes and dislikes they can't explain, so that we can help them understand the true perceptions they are referring to. Also, placing their feelings in different scenarios. For instance, if they say, I don't like the color orange, ask them, is it all shade of orange or a specific tone? Go for the memory. Can you think why or when you came to dislike this color? Also suggest situation where we often see this detail, like in this example, what about the sunset and sunrise? How do they feel about this color? You can also try showing paintings with the color and see how the feeling plays out. The task is to find out what is the trigger for these dislikes or likes. Sometimes it has to do with culture, sometimes it has to do with unconscious habits, sometimes it has to do with personal affections. And by making them conscious and talking about it, we're creating the opportunity to open the mind and dissolve unaware biases. Also working on the person-environment relationship other than superficial judgments. And don't miss the chance to question or suggest different environment experiences. If this person lives in the city, ask if they've been to other cities. What do they feel about city centers, countryside? What inspiring places they visit or want to visit? Here is important to help them explain why these choices and not one place or another, so that we may grasp the feelings behind these choices Some people are more fond on sun and beaches, others are of mountains and rain, others forest and bird sounds. And this has to do with our worldviews and how can we experience positive and negative scenarios. But if they can't make up their mind, suggest places for them to go, different neighbors, suburbs, nearby city centers, or even nature trips. So they may pay attention to these questions, feelings, and perceptions and be able to rethink of them and talk about it in a more conscious way. All this is part of my breathing process where I'm always open for what's to come so that we can create this ambience to free their mind and dive in their spirits before going to concept designs. Okay, so now we have all this information about this person dancing around our mind, and how can we understand this person's state of development? What I think very important is to actually transform these processes and interactions with this person into something meaningful for you. Try to represent them in your own worldview, even if only in your mind. For me, on these three cases, which I'll talk about later, it made sense in my mind to represent them with symbols. That's how I transformed all those information from the briefing process into my thoughts and perceptions. Let your body and mind go deeper than empathy and compassion. Keep going back and forth to how this person feels and behave, how you, people around you, people you know, feel and behave in the scenario you're building in your mind. This helps understanding the personality of whom we're studying, the true values, its essence, and identity. Also, by having this representation in your mind, we can better understand the current environment, simulations that are harming the development of this person and those who are favoring their human development. This way, we'll be able to restore their microsystems by adding our sensibility, creativity in the mind flow for this representation, and while designing the new setting, thriving on this constant movement of transformation and rebuilding. So how can we understand the welcoming environmental stimulations? Look for their movements, inspirations, good energies, dive into the flow they're describing to you in each comment, answer, or doubt. And how can we help people pursue their true values and self-development? Bring out their qualities, their strengths, characters by learning who they truly are. Remember to hear with all our senses and not just the ears. Our emotions help us recognize the beauty of each essence of life, and the design brings out the light of those experiences. It's a very intense process, and I'll go through three cases to example some of these aspects we've been talking about. This is the first set. Also, I'll example as two little stimulation for human development. No place, no objects to grab our attention. So the noise outside will probably sound very annoying because that's the only interesting information our brain is catching on, and we'll tend to quickly get bored inside here. This is the proposed intervention for the person I represented on the symbol on the corner left. She's a harp player, so her harp is our structure element for the environment, and colors and forms affect her positive and deeply. So our environment is born out of diversity in colors and forms. She also loves her wall paintings and small plants she takes care of, so our environment brings out their presence. This is the second set, the smallest in size of them all, for some even claustrophobic, but it's important to realize that empty or uncared for spaces commonly illustrate too little environmental stimulation for human development. This is the proposed intervention for the couple I represented on this symbol on the left corner. They are both related to music. She's a ballerina and he's a drummer player, and both are very dynamic with unpredictable schedules. So our environment is a multi functional space. And these t-shirts are designed by the ballerina, and the musical keyboard is a hobby for the drummer player. The bunk bed can be used by guests and as seats for watching TV or eating meals on the table. And finally, the biggest set of them all, even larger spaces, can have too little environmental stimulation for human development. But beware that for some people, they need little environmental stimulation to be mindfully at peace. And it is our place to make sure we are balancing the environmental stimulation in quantity, quality, and variation for that person's present state of development. This is the proposed intervention for the person I represented on the symbol on the left corner. It's her first home living on her own, and she didn't know exactly what to expect. So we went for her feelings and inspirations, and our environment agreed on beach atmosphere, soft and airy with earthy tones and light vegetation. A quick visual recap on the perception of the too little environmental stimulation in these cases to understand what would probably mean too much stimulation for them. Can you picture the people we talked about switching homes? How do you think they would feel about it? Comfortable or unfitting? They can feel excited and interest to visit such places, but they won't recognize them as their home because these other places have nothing to do with whom they are in essence. And this environmental connection tends to stress us, affecting the health of our microsystems. So I wanted to highlight the importance of connecting to build and rebuild the microsystems with settings that not only reflects and reinforce people's self-esteem, but also motivates and develop perceptions of human values, love, and care. So once again, why should we stimulate these connections? To realize our human environment relationship and to bond with the essence of life, helping us transitioning into living mindfully at peace. And this is what I intended to share with you. So if you have any questions or would like to share thoughts, please feel free to contact me. Here I highlighted a few references by subjects, but you can access the full list on my article discussing some aspects we just talked about. Thank you for being here and interested in this presentation, and make sure to look for the extra features videos to experience triggering some connections.